Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Night Wars. It is December 9th, 1996, and we are live with WCW Nitro at the Independence Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is like home turf for WCW, Joseph. How you doing, man?
I am great. I am it's pretty early for you. It's still kind of early for me, but it's pretty early for you. I am back from a Christmas party that I had to go to yesterday, and it was well, okay, let me rephrase that. The party was fine. The party was okay.
Was it like a
was
Nitro party?
it was not a Nitro party. There was no Lee
Okay, no.
Marshall. There wasn't a Weasel in sight. By the way, you're getting super soft again.
Dang it, bro, call me soft all the time. Well, I mean, because there ain't no party like a Nitro party.
Absolutely.
That just goes without saying.
Absolutely. But we went to this party, and it was for a company that we work with, and my wife does a lot of the logistics side of our company, and so she not that we own the company, to be clear, we just work at the same place, and so she got invited to this party with them, and it was their company Christmas party, and so we went, and the party was fine. We ended up winning some money, so that was kind of nice. But then they had this thing where after the party, they had tickets to a play of A Christmas Carol. And I was like, I'm so down because I love A Christmas Carol. And then the woman who organized the whole thing was like, yeah, it's really nice. It's like a hip hop version. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like immediately.
Oh,
We went, and it was, I will say, it's quite famous here in Austin. It was bad. And I will fight anyone who says otherwise. The production was phenomenal. The stage production, the costuming, the vocal talent was phenomenal. But it was literally every 5 seconds them doing a not a written for this play song, which I would have been okay with. It was a very well known song that they then inserted into the play to try to move the story along, and almost none of them did. And it was really bad. And it was just like just one bad. They literally had a point where Jamie, my wife, loved how much I hated it and mercifully let us leave at intermission. And she was having so much fun with it because they would start a song, and within the first 2 notes, I would know what the song was. And I would just immediately stare up at the ceiling, just annoyed. And I could feel her chair bouncing as she was laughing at me dealing with this. So that was my whole last night. So this morning, I get to spend time with my best friend, and I am in a much better place.
so the whole thing was the hippity hop. They were hip hopping Christmas Carol.
I mean, it was more pop than it was hip hop. She said hip hop. It was really pop songs. So it was like pop songs from the 80s. It was there was like Cyndi Lauper in there. There was Coldplay. It was so bad. It was,
You know what would have been hot though?
go ahead.
Scrooge throws open the window, and says, "You young man, what time is it?" And the kid looks up and goes, "Ticking away at the moments that make." If it was like Pink Floyd Christmas, that'd be hot though. That'd be hot though. Yeah,
it wouldn't. I was in hell. I was
it'd be so good. It'd be so good if they just hit you with Floyd, and then they did like a 12-minute version of Time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Friggin' psychedelic ass shit. That'd be good.
By the way, Scott actually knows that I don't like Pink Floyd, so this is even more fun.
I kind of forgot that, and now that I remember that, fuck you. Pink Floyd's are great, man. I love me some Pink Floyd. Yeah, because look, Scrooge could also be counting his money, and they do money. You could do Christmas Carol to Pink Floyd the entire. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a Pink
Here's
Floyd
how bad
Christmas
it was.
Carol.
Marley showed up, and before he showed up, you just heard money, 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 and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Yeah, see, they gotta do money to Pink Floyd. Whole thing's gonna be Pink Floyd. You're gonna come to mind. We should probably talk about Nitro, though. Do you think?
I mean, I guess we could.
Okay.
I don't remember. I feel like Nitro was pretty decent this week.
Well, let me look at the card real fast. First match is whatever. Second match is whatever. Third match is whatever. Fourth match is okay.
We're really selling this Nitro.
It's a lot of jobbers.
Yeah, but I think it's the stories that are really good this week. So not so much the matches themselves.
And we do it for the stories. So let's get into it. First match though is Michael Wall Street versus Mike Enos. Minute 36. But I also completely missed the fact that Roddy Piper comes out before that.
I was just going to let you figure that out.
Whatever. I was looking at the card before and then I went back to my notes and I said, "Oh, hey, Roddy Piper." So why don't you tell me about Roddy Piper?
Piper comes out with a loaded mic and says it's nice to be home. Apparently, he got his start in Charlotte, so that's why he's saying that. He says, last time we saw him, the NWO was pounding on his leg. Then he hops around to show that his leg is healed. He says he has 6 kids, so he better beat Hogan, and Hogan sucks chants begin to start in the arena. He says that he has a couple of things in his career he's ashamed of. He then says he had his 7-year-old kid, I think, I'm not sure which one, and then I laughed out loud because that he didn't know which kid it was, which is
how many
hilarious.
kids he got?
He said he has 6 kids. Okay. I know of one for sure because he has a daughter who is a wrestler, and to my understanding, pretty good, but she's never really been on like WWE, or I think she was in AEW for like a match.
So you say we got to sign her? We got to sign her to our wrestling label.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely. I think her name's like Teal Piper or something like that.
Teal, if you're listening, you're a fan of the pod, as you know. Call us.
Absolutely. She should be. We talk about her father with nothing but reverence, and she is quite fond of her father. So
well, we love the guy. We love the guy.
He said his kids saw the NWO written on his leg, and he said, Daddy, Hulk Hogan is younger than you, and you only have one leg. Maybe you shouldn't go out and fight him. Piper says he guesses he is supposed to be ashamed because he's a gimp. Didn't seem to stop Bo Jackson. It actually did stop Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson's entire football career was derailed because of it, but okay. Bo Jackson actually is incredibly overrated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at his numbers, I mean, look, he was skilled enough to play 2 sports, absolutely, but he was average in both those sports.
We're going to get so many letters. Level. We're going to get so many letters. Big segment of the pod listeners, big Bo Jackson fans.
Look at his numbers and then come back at me. He says there's only one shameful thing that he's really done in his career, and that's he boxed Mr. T. Then he says they, and he says they a lot, but he also says that we would never guess who they was, which implies it's not Vince McMahon like everybody would suspect. They wanted him to take a dive, which he refused. So they made him ball his hand up in a fist and place the glove around that so he wouldn't hurt the little actor. By the way, Piper has always had it out for Mr. T. Really didn't appreciate him kind of coming in with the whole WrestleMania stuff and kind of taking his spot almost and making it. This is not Mr. T's fault by any stretch, to be clear, but Piper, it didn't sit well with Piper that like this actor was coming in and doing what a wrestler's job is supposed to be and all that. And so he's always been pretty critical of it. I don't know if they ever made amends. But yeah.
Well, it's a good thing he's at WCW because they don't ever bring in actors or sports players or anything.
Absolutely. No. Yeah. It'll never happen.
No.
He says he's ashamed of taking that dive, and he'll be damned if he takes a dive from anybody at any time, anywhere. He points out an NWO fan and says he has nothing against the NWO. He isn't with WCW. He's for Roddy Piper. He points out that the NWO seems to be a sausage fest. He hasn't used those terms, but that's what he's implying. He's sick and tired.
Says he never sees any ladies in their vignettes.
Yeah.
Just one, and a lot of leather, no ladies. Just putting some pieces together.
He's sick and tired of hearing about Hogan, who he admits is a superstar, and he isn't taking the fight lightly and challenges Hogan to a fight now. They hit his music because he has clearly run over time, and he says what doesn't kill him makes him stronger, and he's feeling awful powerful. Piper's one of the greatest talkers, but I have noticed that he tends to meander when he isn't given a clear direction. Sometimes it's incredibly charming, and sometimes it overstays his welcome. Thankfully, I thought this segment was more on the charming side. I thought he did a pretty good job. He did go over. It's very obvious. I gave this a B. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, they start doing the wrap it up, play him out music.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, it's time. It's time. But now it's time to take it away. The moments that make up a dull day.
You don't want to wake up there, bro.
Yeah, whatever. And we got Wall Street and Mike Enos, a minute 36. I promised it. The people have been salivating over this match since
Yes, they
I
have.
told them about it. So
Mhm.
tell me about it. Tell me how great this minute 36-second match was.
Ted DiBiase comes out. He obviously has a very obvious connection with Mike Wall Street, formerly IRS and WWF. DiBiase has a contract, and Wall Street wins off of the distraction, and he receives the contract. I'm giving this a C because I understand the story, but Wall Street really has no business in the NWO.
Well, yeah, and I would have liked this if this was DiBiase starting his own faction, because as we know, with Eric Bischoff now being the spokesman, DiBiase really doesn't have anything to do. Like this could be the WCW $1 million corporation, because Wall Street makes sense in that regard. Like that fits, but it's not. I don't know. It's dumb. I hate it. It's well, like I said, this is kind of where NWO starts to slide a bit, right? As we've talked about, where they start bringing in. I don't. Does Wall Street even really join? Is he even in it, or do they
Yes.
find?
No,
Okay,
he's in it. A lot of these guys they bring in, they'll eventually fire in the next few months. Like not necessarily from the company, but the NWO will fire them from their ranks.
because they realize they
And
did too much.
yeah, it's one of those death by 1,000 cuts scenarios, right? Like they don't realize that this is such a wrong idea because the NWO is so hot, but it's like this was a mistake.
But after that, we go to some video from Saturday night where all the storylines happen, and they show Kevin Sullivan a video of Chris Benoit and the woman, and they're having some wine, having some laughs, having a real good time, and Kevin Sullivan very upset.
Yes.
And this is another example of I don't know, I don't like this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, not even considering Benoit and the woman, and every time I see them now, I go, run.
Yeah.
But just the booking his own divorce, the Kevin Sullivan thing. But this is also kind of shades of the Macho Man Miss Elizabeth thing, where it's like this is probably very difficult for everybody involved, and to make a mock. I don't know. I don't like it.
In defense of this one, which I'm not saying is a good thing, this is Kevin Sullivan. Like, this is all him. So it's not like anyone's forcing him to put this on TV. He's the one doing it. And I will say, like, that tends to be, if you can find a way to make an angle out of a personal life story, I'm okay with it. Like the Matt Hardy and Edge thing makes a lot of sense later on in life, but it's him. He's the one who made this decision. So I guess I'm okay from that standpoint. But really, like all three people involved, it's like, like it doesn't work. Whether you like it or not, like she did cheat on her husband, so she's already not great. And then obviously we know about what happened with Benoit, and we also have allegedly heard that Kevin Sullivan used to beat her. So it's like all three people, it's just like uncomfortable, and it gets worse and worse, and it's just not great.
I'm disappointed in you.
Why?
Because you allegedly yourself. What's going on, man? What's going on? Too scared of Kevin Sullivan? Well, you don't have to be. I've got some breaking news for you.
Jesus Christ.
He's not around anymore. May he rest in peace. Anyways,
no, fuck that.
Anyways, let's get on to our next match, which is one of your favorite guys, Hugh Morris, versus the Renegade. But more importantly, with Joe Gomez.
Absolutely.
3 minutes, 1 second. Tell me about this one, stud.
This match exists. Hugh Morris wins with the moonsault. I gave it a D. It's not very good.
Is that the no laughing matter? Is the moonsault the no laughing matter? What is that his finisher?
I don't know if they named it. I don't care enough to know.
He's got a finisher. It's called no laughing matter. I think it's the.
I can look it up.
I think it's the suplex. I don't know. It's the flip, or it's the moonsault, or I don't know. Anyways, after that, while you're looking this up, after that, Kevin Sullivan come out, because apparently they're gonna make this the whole night. Because Kevin Sullivan come out and he's got a 4 Horsemen shirt on. Although I do love when you wear like the people you hate's shirt. I like that angle. I like when people do that. It's fun. And he walks out to Shivani and he's very upset. He says, "How dare you put this on TV without my consent?"
Mm-hmm.
Even though he booked the whole thing.
Yep. Also, this
dare you?
goes nowhere. This
How
doesn't
dare
go
you?
anywhere.
How dare you do that? This has never been done before.
Yeah.
Bischoff and Savage. But that's it. I mean, you got any thoughts about this, or should we move on?
Well, I got two thoughts. The first thought is you were correct. No laughing matter is the moonsault. That's what he calls it. The second thought is this goes nowhere, and I don't like it, and I gave it a D.
Yeah, that's fair. But what I know you're not going to score poorly. What I know you're going to give an A+ to is our next segment. Ooh, he's warming up his hands. He's ready for this because this is hot. We got a video package. And it's about Sting. And it's set to holding out for a hero. You got to tell me this is hot.
That's not where I thought we were going with this. You did such a good job of swerving me.
This is insane. This is insane.
Yeah,
they got some music, bro. They finally splurged for some music, and it's for this. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. What did you think of this, man?
You know what? I never watched Act 2 of A Christmas Carol. I wonder if Holding Out for a Hero got played when Scrooge turned into a good guy.
That could be. Oh, that'd be so good.
You know what? I should have stayed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell Jamie I'm buying tickets. We're going back. We gotta know what happens on Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to say about this. It's a package. It's ridiculous, but it's a package.
It's so good though. It's absurd. It's just insane. I was like, what am I watching? What am I watching? It was good though. I loved it. After that though, maybe this is what you were thinking we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Our man, the myth, the legend. He should be a 4 horseman because he is a symbol of excellence. Kevin Green is in the house with Mean Gene. And he's still mad about Great American Bash and how Mongo did him dirt. And I don't blame him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him.
Absolutely.
What'd you think, Joseph?
I love this. I wasn't going to give this an A. I do give it a B, but Gene asked Green whether or not Mongo is a friend or a foe. And he says, definitely a foe, and that he will kick Mongo's ass. Then they spend some time putting over the Panthers because Carolina Panthers had a very good season. I think this might have been their debut season or the season after their debut season, because I know Kevin Green was their big get. And they had a great season. They went like 10-6 or something like that. They did a really good season. Green then calls the NWO crap. He says if he ever gets the chance, he's going to rename Hollywood Hogan to Chokin' Hogan because he's going to be choking when he has Green's fist halfway down his throat. Kinky. I gave it a B. I enjoyed it.
Kinky.
I knew you were going to do that. I actually have it written out that way, but I didn't want to take that from you.
Their second season, they went 12-4. The 96 season was the second season. First season was 7-9. Second season was 12-4. Winning the NFC.
Great improvement.
Yeah, winning the NFC West division and securing a first round bye. They defeated the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys in the divisional round 26-17 before losing the NFC Championship game to the eventual Super Bowl winners, Green Bay Packers, 30-13. And then the next season they went 7-9. And then after that they went 4-12.
Yeah, then they became the Panthers. They're still 4-12.
They had one shot. They had one chance, and they're never allowed to have a Super Bowl again.
They had that, and then they had the one with Cam Newton where they got decimated by the Broncos defense, aka literally just Von Miller. That entire game was dog shit, and it was just Von Miller playing. And
Bronco great,
absolutely. Bronco great, legend, going to go to the Hall of Fame one day. Fantastic player, good dude to my understanding. Although didn't he get arrested for some reason? I don't remember. Anyway,
don't they all?
Yeah.
This is football, don't they all?
Yeah. But
it's now a football podcast.
Yeah, that was their last big hurrah, and Cam Newton still holds on to that and pretends that he's the greatest quarterback of all time, and straight up said that if Eli Manning goes to the Hall of Fame, then Cam Newton deserves to go in the Hall of Fame twice. Cam Newton was overrated and dog shit, and go fuck yourself, Cam Newton.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh no, because we got a lot of Carolina. We got a lot of Carolina listeners on the pod. They are going to be very upset. Yeah, but this reminds me, since this is now a football podcast, I'm going to give my fantasy picks for this week. Okay,
gotcha.
Okay, so at quarterback, I'm suggesting people this is a sleeper. This is a sleeper. Josh Allen. For your 2 running back spots, I'm saying you should go with, again, might shock some people, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry.
Wow.
Yeah. At wide receiver, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Yeah. George Kittle at tight end. I'm feeling that.
That's shocking.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that though. Yeah, and I mean that's really it. I mean, if you want to do a kicker, let's do Young Ho Koo.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to get trapped by saying Justin Tucker because he's a big name, even though he's been horrible this season. So I'm proud of you.
He's on a bye this week, bro. That's what saved me.
Oh, wow.
Because he is listed as number 1. Saved by the bye.
That's hilarious.
It's all right because I'm saved by the. It's all right because I'm saved by the bye. That was pretty good, man. I came up with that all myself. That's Saved by the Bell reference, Ronnie. You don't get that because that's a weird
you don't
80s.
Think they have Saved by the Bell in Germany?
Maybe.
I mean, they probably had like something, right?
What would it be called in German? This we have gone so over.
we could get into real serious trouble if we go this road.
No, we're not doing that. I want to know what it's called in German.
I've watched a lot of Band of Brothers lately, so I gotta cool it.
Von der Glock Garretit or something. I don't know, bro.
Ronnie, how is that? Let us know.
My family are Germans. My grandpa spoke German. I don't speak German. Anyways, Dean Malenko, Jimmy Graffiti for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. I have a feeling Dean keeps this one. 8 minutes, 9 seconds. What do you think?
Yeah, it's fan favorite Jimmy Graffiti. Dean Malenko wins a hard-fought bout. And again, this is kind of wild how every time that Jimmy Graffiti shows up, he has like an insane amount of offense. But that's where we're at. So there you go. I gave this a C. It's fine. I don't even know how to call it a jobber match because it's pretty lengthy for this kind of match, but it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, like you said, it is I feel like Jimmy Graffiti gives it as good as he gets it. Dean let him, Dean sold for him. Dean lets him seem like it's real back and forth. Jimmy Graffiti's a jobber, whatever. But I feel like, I know Dean's going to win, but I still feel like that when Jimmy Graffiti's in the ring, it's still an okay match. He's fun.
Yeah. After
that, though, we go to Mean Gene and Sonny Ono. And Mean Gene says, I think your accent is fake, bro. And Sonny Ono just says the accent like I don't really understand it, but like it fools Americans or something. It allows him to do what he wants. I didn't get this segment.
He says that like it is a fake accent, but when he puts it on, it gets him into universities for free, and he starts naming all these things. Essentially, the joke is because this is around the time when like universities and a lot of things in America, like they started having rules where you had to allow a certain quota for different ethnicities.
Affirmative action is what they call it.
And so essentially white people started getting real mad about this and still are to this day. And this is before the term woke existed, because if it did, oh my God, that would have been a nightmare.
PC, bro.
PC, yeah. PC was the way it was. That was early day woke. I get what he's trying to do, because he's really kind of being cheeky and making fun of America more than anything. But it's like,
probably trying to rile up WCW's extremely white
fan base.
Yeah. They're stealing my college admission.
Yeah. So these guys weren't going to college, but
I would have gone to Harvard if not for Sonny Ono.
So yeah, it's whatever. I gave it a D. I didn't love it.
Yeah, I didn't. Now that you say it that way, it clicks now, because I wasn't getting. I was like, what are we doing here? And now you're like, oh, he's doing a racism thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a racist thing. Got it. Okay. Racism. The 90s, man.
Next week, there's a fun racism one that we'll get to talk about.
Fun racism. You heard it here first. Trademark that, Joseph. Have your wife put that on a shirt. We'll see how that sells.
Oh, man.
But you know what sells?
I'm gonna assume Faces of Fear.
Nah, bro. WCW Saturday Night.
I thought we already talked about that.
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about Saturday Night. That's
Okay.
605. You would know if we talked about 605 Saturday Night because that's where the storylines happen. WCW TV champ Steven Regal, he gonna be on because the TV championship is not ever defended on the flagship program.
We just had it last week. What are you talking about?
One time.
And we're gonna have it. We're gonna have it next week too.
Oh my goodness! Because they hear me, I'm getting upset. I'm getting upset about it.
Yeah.
He's going against Hugh Morris.
Yeah.
Jim Duggan is on Saturday night. Renegade Joe Gomez Saturday night. Jeff Jarrett Saturday night. Diamond Dallas Page Saturday night. Ice Train Saturday night. Dean Malenko, you guessed it, Saturday night.
It's fire.
That's a pretty good card, man. Then after that, they show us a little bit about the World War III, which we're not going to talk about because you got to listen to the Patreon, $2 a month. I don't get anything from you on that.
I mean, you sold it well enough, so I didn't really feel like I needed to say anything. Shit.
Speaking of shit, we got the Nasty Boys.
Ooh, that's rough. That's rough. I don't hate the Nasty Boys by any stretch. That's rough.
I didn't have a segue, so I just went with it. I don't hate the Nasty Boys either. I think they're fine. They're going up against Faces of Fear. 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Tell me about the Faces of Fear versus the Nasty Boys. That's how you got to say it, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely you do. The outsider. Oh, you know what I would say about how you said that? I think this is important to note.
Tell me.
That's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
No problem. My wife likes to pick up on things that we repeatedly say and then say them to me because she thinks
fun of us.
Funny.
You mean?
Yeah,
mock
she
us.
thinks she's funny. So that's beautiful, man. Is her new one? It used to be. What was the one before?
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. And now it's and once we find out about him, we say him intentionally even more. Anyway,
that's beautiful, man.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
The outside.
No, you're not wrong.
Oh, and then we just keep saying that as the show slowly fades to black.
People log in and go, "Why is this one 4 hours?" It's gonna be 4 hours at the rate we're going. But anyways,
we'll make up some time in Raw. Don't worry. The outsiders come to watch, and the Nasty Boys and Faces of Fear really beat the hell out of each other during this match. Brian Knobbs has the clear win, but the ref is following Jerry Skaggs outside. Jimmy Hart accidentally hits Meng with the megaphone, and eventually all hell breaks loose with the Faces of Fear winning due to another megaphone hit. To me, this was honestly a pretty fun slugfest. I way prefer Nasty Boys versus Faces of Fear than I do Nasty Boys versus Public Enemy. I think they balance each other out very well, and they do the hard-hitting thing without it just being who can put somebody through a table. I enjoyed this match. I gave this a B. This is the first match that I'm like, oh, this is really fun.
Yeah. Apologies to the Nasties for my previous comment because this actually is a pretty good match. Like you said, they really kind of go at it. It's a pretty good slobber knocker, as they'd say on that other program. I liked it. And I also liked the next segment because we got Mean Gene out here with Ric Flair, and then Roddy Piper comes out, and they just talk about how, hey, remember that time I almost killed you? And I loved it. I loved this walk down memory lane where they're just talking about how crazy shit used to be and how much they hate Hulk Hogan. It's beautiful. What'd you think?
I love this. First, Flair comes out and he bows down to Kevin Green, who's not around. He's just doing the bowing, miming thing. And he calls Kevin Green the man, but he isn't here for that. He asked the world to tune in and he wants Roddy Piper to come out. Piper comes out to thunderous applause. And I will say I expected this to completely go off the rails because of the two of them. Yes. Flair says when he sits at home, he hears the word icon passed around too freely. But rest assured that Piper is an icon. He then puts over Piper's journey. Oh, I'm sorry.
I gotta stop you there for a second because I found it funny when he says at home icons thrown around a lot, and it's like, bro, at home who's throwing it around? Ric Flair's just throwing around icon to himself at his house.
He means he's watching Nitro because he's been nursing the injury, and they keep saying icon week to week.
Gotcha. I thought it was like in Big Lebowski where the Time magazine is the mirror, person of the year kind of thing.
I feel like you speak Ric Flair. I can't believe you You didn't get this up on Space Mountain.
Oldest ride with the longest line, my friend.
He then puts over Piper's journey and calls him a big town player these days. Flair says when Hogan came into the WCW 2 years ago that it was Flair's responsibility to carry the team ball. He fumbled, though, and lost the title to Hogan. He was embarrassed and walked away with his head between his legs. To this day, that haunts him. He says that Piper is here to rectify the situation. Flair says the difference between Flair and Piper versus Hogan is that all three get old, but only Flair and Piper get great. That is right between the eyes line against Hogan, and I loved it. Piper then starts speaking, and he says they don't come no finer than Ric Flair. He says as far as the Four Horsemen, this is his last shot, and he doesn't want anyone's help. He's coming with all the guts in the world. If he doesn't do it himself, he can't live with himself, and he's coming for Hogan in Nashville, Tennessee. I did paraphrase quite a bit here because it's a little bit longer, but I will say I thought this was going to fall off the rails because of both men's ability to kind of meander and wander off in their promos, but this was fantastic from start to finish. They stayed on topic. They put each other over. They dissed Hogan. They made the fight seem meaningful, all while having Piper also be like, I don't want you guys around. I want to do this myself, even though I know the NWO is going to be there in full force. This was an A+ for me.
I also have to ask, because now that you've awoken me to Flair, this Flairism that I clearly missed, and apologies to Rick. He and I are big, big buddies, always talking.
Absolutely.
Big fan of the pod. And you think this his icon comment was a knock on the icon Sting?
No, I think this was exclusively a knock on Hogan.
Because I was going to say, because if it was, Ric Flair going to get his ass beat.
Ric Flair, yeah, that's true. Also, Ric Flair loves Sting, so there ain't no way he making a comment about Sting like that.
Well, all right then. After that, though, we go straight into hour number 2 with Tony, Bobby, and Mike Tenay. And then we go back to
that's beautiful, man.
Thank you. And then we go back to when Piper called out Hogan from earlier in the show. If you missed it, we didn't though, because you're listening, so you know. So we'll just go into our next match. We got Chris Jericho and we got Bobby Eaton. 2 minutes 33 segundos.
Jericho has a picture-in-picture where he says he isn't done with Nick Patrick, though in my opinion he should be. I don't know how you top their match at World War III. I don't remember what happens in their feud after that. I remember loving that match. I don't remember where this goes beyond that. Jericho again wins this match with a missile drop kick. I say again because he keeps winning with missile drop kicks lately. This seems to be his finisher at this point in WCW. It will change in the next few months, but this is what he's doing right now. This is a fine TV match. It's not too much to write about, but I did enjoy it. Bobby Eaton's doing a really good job putting people over. I gave this a C+.
I just can't wait for Jericho to be Jericho, though. That's the big thing.
I agree. Yeah.
He's still squeaky clean Jericho, or I'm just happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get Jericho with a little personality,
absolutely.
After that, though, we recap the Sting Steiner feud because Rick Steiner last week came back from an injury or something. Was he injured? I think he was injured, right? Wasn't that it?
No, Scott was injured. Rick was wrestling in Germany.
In Europe, yeah. He was in Europe, and he's like, I just got back, and why the hell Sting up in the rafters? Yeah. This is weird. And then Sting beat his ass for that. So now they're feuding, and Mean Gene talks to the Steiners again.
If you can call it talking.
Yeah, and then Scott says, he says something about a baseball bat, and I have no idea what happened here.
This thing was wild. Rick starts, by the way, and he's just stumbling around. I don't know what he's saying, but he finally kind of just says, "We're waiting for a message, Sting." And then Scott starts talking, and everyone, he said, he does say, I think Scott does more coherent, which is hilarious, by the way, that Scott of the two was the one who was coherent. And he says, everyone is confused, but they're waiting on Sting. Scott's message made a little bit more sense. This was not good, though. I gave this a D. It was like a minute, by the way. It was like Mean Gene clearly realized this wasn't working. It was like, let's get back. Let's get back. We're out.
This is what the Steiner brothers need to do. All right. Rick needs to get on all fours and bark like a dog. and Scott needs to kind of stand above him, kissing his double muscle. That's all we need from the Steiner brothers. That is it. That should be every promo done. This was insane. This was insane. And then we get a montage of Lex Luger. He racking people. Everybody getting the torture rack. It's like an episode of Oprah. You get the torture rack. You get the torture rack. Everybody getting the torture rack. It's a beautiful thing.
It's like poetry, it sort of rhymes.
The robot's always scared.
Oh, man.
Should I tell that story? Or did I tell it last time? Did I tell it last time on the pod?
No, you told it to me personally. We don't have time to tell that story.
Okay. It's a Star Wars story, so maybe later. Arn Anderson, Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman. I wonder how this one's going to go. 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Pittman gets pyro. What? Deborah is in a beauty contest dress, complete with tiara and sash that says Miss Illinois. Why wouldn't this say Miss Four Horsemen?
Oh, that's hot.
It's right there. Kevin Sullivan gets a picture-in-picture and says that he blames Arn, then gets super personal about his long, cold nights. And next week, they're going to heat up his life. There's nothing left for him but Arn. Predictably, Mongo hits Pittman with the Halliburton, and Arn hits the DDT for the win. The match itself was fine. I'm going to give it a C, but that picture-in-picture was fucking awkward.
Weird as hell.
Yeah.
Weird as hell.
Right after this, Gene interviews Arn. And Arn says basically everyone in the Four Horsemen is on assignment except for women. Deborah interrupts and says that Nancy, being woman, is a tramp and that she has had to deal with this jealousy from NFL wives. She says that beauty is power, and that makes her the most powerful horseman. Mongo says you can't argue with that. I actually can.
Arn would be like, actually.
Yeah. This is no time to get caught up in a soap opera. And Arn says that he has a bone to pick with women. I hated this part of the segment, and I gave this a D.
I think this even drives your point home more about how the sash should have said Mrs. Four Horsemen or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're feuding with the woman and Benoit. That would be like another, like, I'm prettier than you.
Yeah.
Right? It would have been perfect. It would have been so good, and it's not. But Benoit, he in Germany. So he ain't here to defend himself. But shit is happening. And what's really happening is that we on the road with Lee Marshall. You've been waiting for it. You needed it. You wanted it. You have it. Up next is Lee Marshall in Pensacola, Florida, where Nitro's going to be next week. And let me tell you, there ain't no party like a Nitro party. Lee has found the Nitro party. It's kind of, I've been thinking about this. How is there always a Nitro party wherever Lee goes? And we know the answer.
Because Lee is the Nitro party.
Lee brings the Nitro party. He is the Nitro party.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
You know what's crazy about this one, though?
Tell me.
Excuse me. It's not that there's a Nitro party, because there is. Obviously, we know if Lee is around. However, there are Nitro parties up and down the marina. We got multiple. Lee's like, there's bar hopping. He Nitro party hopping.
Wow. He just does like finger guns, and he just goes over that bar, finger gun, Nitro party, finger gun, Nitro party. It just turns into a Nitro party. He's got some magic. Were there any weasels, Joseph?
He says he could have sworn that he saw the Brain attending one of the parties because it looks like someone rolled a wagon wheel through their Nitro pie. At which point Bobby Heenan says that Lee was there when they invented the first wagon wheel. This is true, by the way. Because our father, hold on, because our father, who arts in Nitro parties, is timeless.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And you're not wrong. Diamond Dallas Page, Jeff Jarrett, first round of the WCW US title tournament match. How long is this first round? It seems like it's been going on 6 months.
Yeah.
And let me go back to my notes here. Let me see. This is I don't have a time. I don't know. No time. Timeless, like Lee Marshall.
Damn. By the way, there's no way this is the first round because both of these men have won a match in the first round.
Nah, it's the first round.
I mean, WCW logic at first round.
Who needs it? I don't know. Maybe it's not the first round. Maybe I just wrote it down wrong. I don't know, but it seems like they're going on forever.
Jeff Jarrett gets insane pyro. To me, this is like the perfect mid-card type match that you could have. DDP is getting a serious pop from the crowd during this match, and he pulls out all the stops, including a diving clothesline off the top rope, which he does not normally do. The Outsiders run out to help DDP. With the ref and Jeff Jarrett distracted by Nash, Hall hits the Outsiders' edge on Jeff Jarrett. DDP, who never saw this, crawls over Jeff Jarrett and gets the win. From a storyline standpoint, I love this match. However, this feels like a complete stall for Jeff Jarrett and his whole character. This tournament was designed as a vehicle for him to defeat Giant for the US title. And all of a sudden, he just got wiped out of the tournament. So it's like, okay. Mean Gene interviews DDP and points out that the Outsiders keep helping him. DDP says, yeah, I know, but I don't need them. I got the hottest finisher on the planet. I'm telling you one more time, you do your thing and I'll do mine. Where were you guys 3 years ago? He then compares them to a clingy broad and says, stop calling me. Gene mentions that DDP has a shot for the US title, and DDP says no one wants it more than him. I did thoroughly enjoy this match. I liked DDP's segment afterwards. Gave it a B+.
But I agree. What are we doing, Jeff Jarrett? I have no idea what is going on with Jeff Jarrett. But let's keep rolling because we don't got a lot of time here. Rick Steiner versus Scott Norton. Tell me about this one. We like Scott Norton. We like Rick Steiner. What's going on?
Rick Steiner versus Scott Norton. I don't have this in my notes even remotely.
You don't have this? It ain't in no contest. There's no match. I guess that should be the point. There's no match. Roddy Piper comes out. This is the Roddy Piper thing, right? There's no.
Oh, okay.
There's supposed to be a match.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Piper takes over.
Okay. See, that's how I have it in my notes. Piper comes out. Yeah, so you're right. There was supposed to be a match, and then Piper's just like, no, fuck the match. And he just comes out with the chair. He grabs a chair. Great. Yeah, and he calls out Hogan in the middle of the ring, and he wants to do some fighting. He's done talking. Bischoff comes out instead, and a fan dumps his soda on him, which is hilarious. But I will say, Bischoff rolls with it, which is fantastic work from Bischoff. Piper tells Bischoff to run along. Bischoff says the NWO has left the building, but he is Piper's friend, and he loves him too. He says that Piper is no Hulk Hogan, and that Hogan is going to squash him, and calls him a gimp, and then turns around to walk away, and he mimes limping. At which point, Piper absolutely clocks Bischoff. Like, this is a shoot punch just across the fucking back of the head, and starts beating the hell out of him. And he grabs the chair, and the NWO surround the ring, and Kevin Green comes to the ring to help Piper as the show closes for the broadcast on TNT. And we're going to go into what happens after, because on the Peacock version, you get it. Or what was originally the WWE Network version, you get it. But the show closes at the point of Kevin Green coming to support him. After
Roddy Piper went long again? What?
Yeah. After that happens, we see Piper and Green and the Horsemen fend off the NWO. Mongo and Green are in the same ring, so this is a chance for Scott's favorite tag team to reunite. I thought this was an actual fire finish from Nitro. Again, hour 2 is a banger.
Do you think that's on purpose? Do you think is that must be the hour they're unopposed, right? So they're just trying to put everything in.
We talk about this exact subject every week.
Wait, why you gotta call me out like that?
Because now that you know it, you're gonna start doing it intentionally.
Do you think I do this on purpose?
No, not at all.
Okay. Much like I don't know if they do it on purpose because I didn't get an answer. But anyways, December 9th, 1996, New Haven Coliseum, New Haven, Connecticut, Raw.
Yeah.
At least this time they've got a pretty good match to start, and they've got a pretty good match to finish, and then in the middle. We got Psycho Sid versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. First match. That's pretty exciting. Tell me about it. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, Sid just charges Hunter during his entrance. Sid honestly just dismantles Hunter and ends up hitting the powerbomb. Hunter rolls out of the ring and crawls away and gets counted out. What the fuck? I was honestly so hyped for this match, kind of like what you alluded to, right? This is a banger match to start with, but then they just did it this way. And it ends up being one of the dumbest finishers ever, or finishes to a match ever, and I gave it a D.
Yeah, not great. Well, this is easy. Goldust and Bart Gunn. What's next? Because they don't really tell stories for the most part. They just kind of go from match to match to match. Goldust, Bart Gunn.
Goldust immediately throws gold glitter in Bart's eyes. The match becomes competitive, and Goldust hits his drop down slap, which I know you love. Billy is in the back watching the match and says everyone knows he carried the team and he'll whoop Bart back to Texas. Jerry Lawler says that Stu and Ellen Hart used to be nudists until they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Okay. Ultimately, Goldust targets Bart's knee, and after Bart misses a dive off the top rope, Goldust exploits the knee and scores the pinfall. Billy Gunn comes out with the mic and says, "This is what happens when Billy Gunn is not around. You're nothing without me. I won the tag team championship 3 times." He grabs Bart and reminds him this is what happens when he isn't around, and then Bart starts swinging at him. Billy turns tail. I think overall this segment was actually pretty decent. Goldust and Bart had a fine TV match, and Billy and Bart continue their feud. However, I would have rather have had Billy just say, "This is what happens when Billy Gunn is not around," and then target the injured knee. It would have brought him solid heat and made sense given the previous match. So I do think they could have changed that because Bart really had no reason getting over in this segment because he was seemingly injured from the match already. I gave it a B, all things considered, but I do think they could have done a better job at that.
What they couldn't do a better job, though, was this next segment because it's perfection. It's karate fighters.
Okay. I never write down the in-between segments. So sometimes
you don't write the karate fighters?
No, sometimes Scott will hit me with those, and I'm reading what's the next segment in my head, and I'm like, there's no fucking way Scott liked this.
You don't like the karate fighters? Yeah. We go way in depth about the strategies because the next week is the finals between Jerry Lawler and Sable, and Todd Pettingill goes way in depth about it. And I'm like, what? I like the karate fighters segment, but this is the only thing they got going, and it's just insane.
Yeah.
After that, though, is my favorite moment of the night. Justin Hawk Bradshaw versus Double J Jesse James. Whatever. Tell me about it.
Well, right before that, Zebekiah and Justin Hawk Bradshaw cut a promo. Zebekiah says Jesse James can't tell him about war. He laid in Vietnam for 11 months and 27 days. I don't know if the timing is accurate, but Dutch Mantell, who's Zebekiah, was part of the 25th Infantry Division in Vietnam, so I doubt he lied about that time. Zebekiah says James will be in hell because he can't beat Bradshaw by himself, let alone both of them. Bradshaw says that James is stupid enough to challenge both of them. Well, he won't be singing. He'll be squealing like a cow that his branding iron stuck to his body. I don't know. Bradshaw ain't a wrestling god just yet. I gave that a D. Going into the match, look, this does technically have a storyline. I just don't really care about the storyline because neither character is compelling. Jerry Lawler says when Dutch and Bradshaw are done with Double J, he'll be working at Double A MCO. Okay. Zebekiah accidentally.
You remember those commercials?
I do, but it's not good. Zebekiah accidentally hit. Well, you know why it's not good? Because he doesn't say Double A honk honk MCO.
Oh, that'd been good. That'd been good.
Like if you're gonna go for the joke, commit, bro. Mm-hmm. Anyways, Zebekiah accidentally hits Bradshaw across the head with the branding iron, and James gets the win. Bradshaw responds to the loss by nailing Zebekiah with the clothesline from hell, which I think right now they're just calling the lariat, but that's what it'll become, is a clothesline from hell. This is technically better than last week's match, and clearly Bradshaw is now going solo. I'm giving this a C. It wasn't great, but at least I'm like, okay, kind of.
Yeah. But I hate this Jesse James. I hate this version. I see it and I go, just be Road Dogg. Just be Road Dogg. Please, God, stop. But we get this for so long. But you know what isn't long? The next promo, the Bret Hart promo. He does what we ask. He gives us a pretty short promo. But Joseph, this is the big question. Because we've been saying, Bret, you just got to do a short promo. Is it good? What do you think?
Well, let's see what my notes say. JR asks Brett about potentially being WWF champ again, but he has to beat Sid. What are his thoughts? Brett says he's learned things get crazier, crazier, and crazier in the WWF. JR shows footage from London where Brett saves Bulldog from Sid, only to have Stone Cold attack Brett from behind and Sid finish Brett off. Boy, I'm sure fucking glad that wasn't a single fucking episode of Raw, but instead we got all that dog shit we got last week.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Fucking
That sounds like a
anyway.
pretty good angle in Europe. They're doing better storylines in Europe.
Yeah. They're doing better storylines in Europe and on WCW Saturday Night.
Yeah.
Brett, you know who loved that storyline was Ronnie. Ronnie was in attendance and was just like,
Yeah,
this is a banger.
Germany got the best storylines right now in WWF. No doubt. No doubt.
Brett says, yeah, Sid is 6'9", but you can take all the technical wrestling and throw it out the window. For the last 8 months, he has thought about being WWF champ again. When Sid snaps, people call him Psycho Sid. When Brett snaps, people call him WWF champion. It's a Brett promo, so it's not amazing. I'm giving it a C.
Giving it a C. I see. He listened. He did everything we told him to do, and you're still only giving him a C?
I don't like Brett promos.
Oh my God.
I like Brett matches. Brett promos are bad.
My goodness. Speaking of matches you might like, though, we got a no holds barred Undertaker Mankind match.
We do.
This ain't bad.
Okay. Mankind is in the Middle East asking Uncle Paul to take him home for some reason. I guess they did a tour over there, like a USO thing or something. Executioner comes out to distract Taker, then he flees. Taker slams Mankind's mandible claw, his mandible claw hand between the steel steps. Mankind takes out Taker's leg, and Ross says that he heard it pop. Ultimately, Taker wins with a tombstone. Then the Executioner attacks from behind with the formerly Asian Spike, now called the Asiatic Spike, which is essentially the same thing. I gave
but
this
not
a
racist.
C plus. Yeah, it's less racist,
I guess.
Yeah. I gave this a C plus. It's okay. I was just like, I think by this point I was pretty burnt. So yeah.
I mean, I would give it more than a C. I mean, it's an Undertaker Mankind match. They go
give it more than a C. I gave it a C plus.
Jesus. I would give it like a B. Because, I mean, it's Undertaker and Mankind. They're great. You know, the Executioner stuff needs to stop because he's gone. It's sad. But the match is good. I thought the match was good. If you cut out all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But who won this week, Joseph? I got to say, I didn't think WCW was particularly good this week. They had some good matches, but overall I thought it was fine. It wasn't great. Like, if Raw had put up a good product, I think they could have won this week, but they didn't.
Well, I don't know because we don't know what it looks like when Raw puts a good product on the show. I do think though, yeah, I do think though that Nitro's second half was pretty fire. Like that was really fun. You and I talked about this, I think, before the show. Like the matches on Nitro weren't great, but the storylines moving were pretty good, except for the Kevin Sullivan one, which is awkward and we don't want him. Please stop.
You think they do that on purpose? The second hour being better? I'm just asking questions, Joseph.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm just asking questions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Raw or Nitro definitely wins, but it just kind of wins by default at this point. Raw is so bad. Like Nitro, I'm looking at the matches and they're all fine, but it's a lot of jobbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of our stars going up against jobbers, you know, Jimmy Graffiti and Mike Enos and Bobby Eaton at this point is a jobber, Craig Pittman, jobber, you know, but that is so much better than whatever they're doing on Raw. They're not telling stories. They're not really doing anything. They just have three matches. They'll have a segment here, like one segment. I think that one segment, the Bret Hart segment, a karate fighter segment, and a Bret Hart segment. They're not telling stories.
No,
it's bad. It's real bad. All right, let's do it again next week. And we got a Raw paper. We got a WWF pay-per-view coming up. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time. It's time.
That's just gonna fade out the show.
I should. It should. I mean, I guess this is Ahmed Johnson's pay-per-view, right? Because that's his catchphrase he's trying to make work that is not working.
No, his catchphrase that he's trying to make work is "You're going down.
Oh, is that
You're
who's it's
going
time?
down."
What is its time? It's time for what?
Uh,
Tune into the Patreon. We'll figure out what it's time for, 'cause we have no idea. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.